Ooh, Alan White Show. Ooh.
Hi, everybody. It's Alan White, your old jive daddy from Atlanta, Georgia, with season number 1, episode number 1 of my new podcast. And here's the deal on the podcast. I have a new book out about why we need a third political party to break the tie in Washington between the Republicans and the Democrats, who have been screaming at each other, I guess, ever since Watergate. And in order to break the tie, we need a third political party. It's as simple as that. So that's the new book. And we're going to talk a little bit about the third party on this podcast. And we'll have some guests and we'll do some jokes and we'll play some music. It's basically going to be a radio show because that's what I do. So it's audio only, and you can listen to it wherever you find your podcast. And we'll have some fun, so I hope you'll join us. There is a website now that explains the book very well, I think. It's just the third party, THIRD, well, THIRDPARTY.org. Now you go there, it's beautifully laid out by Bert Carroll. He did a great job on the website, and it explains the book in significant detail. And then if you think, that's a pretty good idea, buy the book. It's $14.99 for crying out loud. Everybody's got $15. Buy the book, have a look, and what the book does, the third-party book, it asks the question, what do you think? Things have changed because of the internet. It's a lot easier to get a third party going now than it ever was before. So you read the book, covers some things I think the third party would have to do in order to be successful and win. And biggest part is, where'd the money go? You know, we used to be the richest country in the world, and we ain't that no more. So where did the money go? Well, it went to foreign wars. And I've never supported a regime change war except this war in Iran, and I'm not sure I'm going to stay with that depending on what happens. The war on drugs is idiotic. That's $1 trillion to $1.5 trillion a year. And what does it accomplish? It accomplishes nothing. We'll go into that in more detail later. The whole criminal justice system is completely out of control, financially as well as morally and a lot of other ways. But financially, it's insane. We're just throwing money away. And if we could get those three things fixed, regime change wars, turn the war on drugs into a war on addiction, which is what it should have been to begin with. It's a medical problem, not a legal problem. And do something to reform the criminal justice system state by state, because that's where it's a big mess. We would have plenty of money for health care for everybody. And then we have a little plan with the wealth tax to start to pay down the national debt, which anybody that knows anything about credit will tell you, start to pay down your debt. So check out the website and see what you think. Once again, it's THIRDPARTY.org. And check it out and see what you think. We will have some guests and have a joke or two. We'll play some music. Basically, it's a radio show. So that's kind of what I do. So here we go.
Jive Daddy, Daddy, Daddy.
Now, once again, boys and girls, it's time for the Story Lady.
Today I'm going to tell you the story I call Johnny Appleseed. Once upon a time, not so long ago, there was a fellow named Johnny who, for some reason, got it into his head that he should walk across the United States dropping apple seeds on the ground as he went. He felt that the people of America should have lots of apple trees. So one day he started out in the east with a huge sack of apple seeds over his shoulder and began walking west. As he walked, he dropped the seeds. All along the way, people would say, "Hi, Johnny Appleseed," and he felt very good. Then just as he was getting to Pennsylvania, he was picked up by the Jersey State Police, who nailed Johnny with an $11,000 littering fine, plus 2 months in the Newark City Jail.
Thank you, Story Lady. And be sure to tune in next time, boys and girls, when the Story Lady will read the story synopsis from 3 Swedish movies.
Ooh, Alan White Show. Ooh.
Okay, my guest today is Fred Azadi. Fred is a guy I've known for a long time. He's from Iran originally. He left when the revolution started, went to England and got a degree in engineering, which he doesn't use. And he owns restaurants. He's a very smart guy. And I trust him implicitly. He's just good at it. He knows what's going on over there. And so I thought we'd go a bit about the war in Iran. Fred, how you doing, buddy?
Doing great, Alan. Thank you.
So where are we? Obviously, the peace talks fell apart, which everybody expected. Where are we in this mess?
Well, there's a deep divide between hardline in Iran and a pro-moderation people, and basically those group came in for negotiation. Their hands is tied. There are certain guidelines they gotta go by, but hardline want to include Lebanese security in the talk with the U.S., and obviously Israelis are not going to go for it.
Right. They were
So
they were never going to go for that.
yeah, so and the fundamental problem also still exists. How they going to do this? Obviously, as far as Iranian people consider, none of it including them in the negotiation. So it really doesn't matter if it's going to go ahead or not. Because one thing missing in the whole this thing is security of the Iranian people. All is about preventing Iran from getting a nuclear weapon and stop the nation after supporting the other group in Lebanon, Iraq, and Yemen, Syria. Obviously, that's a big problem for Iranians. Also, they want to stop Iranian missile program.
Seemed like the Iranians came to that meeting in Pakistan with demands that they knew that Trump and the Americans would never go for.
Both sides went to the meeting thinking that other side is going to accept all their conditioning, but the problem is Pakistani lied to both sides. They told American, "You come to this meeting, and everything you're saying is Iranian going to accept," and then they turn around, they said to Iranian the same thing.
Right.
That, well, whatever condition you have, Americans are going to go for it. So
I mean, I thought it would fall apart. I think everybody thought the meeting was a waste of time. Number one, we have no control. America has no control over what Israel does in Lebanon. And they wanted, I don't know, prisoners released and a ton of money sent to them and all kinds of demands that Trump wasn't ever going to consider.
Israelis want to continue war with Iran until the last American soldier. Basically, they want America to fight their fight for them.
You had said in a conversation a couple of days ago that the boots on the ground need to be the Iranian boots on the ground, and we need to arm the Iranian resistance. They have no guns.
Well,
I mean, they're throwing rocks at people with machine guns. That's not going to work.
Well, that was the most logical way of doing this off the ground. You know, that we thought that's what's going to happen when the people come to street. Trump said, "You come out and going to support you."
Right.
People, they thought they're going to start uprising, and America going to arm them and take care of the military in there. But
as far as you know, there's no arms getting in there.
well, last week there was this news that they did send the arm, but they sent it to Kurdish people in Iraq, and they decided just to keep the weapon and don't pass it to Iranian people.
Yeah,
So
okay.
ultimately, because of what happened, is about 57,000 Iranian people died just coming out in the street and
throwing rocks. I mean, you can't throw rocks at people with machine guns. And
obviously the agenda of Iranian people was just get rid of this regime, which will be benefit for both American and Israelis and all this. But on the other side, American and Israelis, they had other stuff in their agenda and didn't really help out the Iranian people.
Yeah, I don't even think Trump knows what his agenda was. First, it was the no nuclear weapons. Then it was the uranium they already have. They were going to go get that. And then it was open up the Strait. I mean, the Strait of Hormuz was open before we started this.
Yeah, I mean, we're going from bad to worse. But
yeah, and I think as I'm looking at it as an outsider, it seems to me that the Iranians didn't have any reason to negotiate. They're winning this war. They have the Strait closed. And, you know, they could take the hits on their military equipment. They'll just rebuild it. And they don't have to negotiate anything. Certainly not regime change, which I don't know what Trump wants, but I want regime change. You want regime change. The Iranian people want regime change. I would think Israel wants regime change.
Well, the way they went about it, some of Iranian people are now rethinking about, regime change because they see that it didn't happen. And on top of that, they lose all their bridges and the refineries and all this. Even if regime change tomorrow, we still have almost 10 years of reconstruction of whatever they got destroyed during the war.
Yeah, well,
and I don't know what who's going to finance it.
You know what this reminds me of? Before you were here, before you were in the United States, we had a kind of similar deal with Cuba. We were supposed to support the invasion. They had a bunch of people that were going to go in there and overthrow Castro. And at the last minute, Kennedy did not back. He pulled the air support, and they all got caught and captured, and they never overthrew the government. It was a kind of a big scandal for Kennedy, his first big thing that he did. And ultimately, the argument is that's what got him killed. Still, I mean, that's the Epstein case. The Epstein case is not a case of little girls. It's a case of international blackmail by the Mossad. Maxwell, his girl there, her father was part of the Mossad.
I agree with that. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's also just a general blackmail. I mean, Bill Gates said, this was like a week ago, that Epstein had called him and threatened him over sexual affairs he had with 2 Russian women. One of them was a professor. I'm not sure about the other one. And I don't think Bill Gates even realized they were hookers. But that's what they were doing. And the best thing to do if you're Jeffrey Epstein is to get these guys. It's one thing to get them caught in what's called a honey trap. Every intelligence service in the world does that. It's another thing if you can get them having sex with young girls or boys, either one. And if you've got them on that, if you've got pictures or videos of that, they're going to pay whatever you say. And so to me, that's the Epstein case. And I could tell you that I can guarantee you, if you care, that Epstein was murdered. I don't know by who, but I can prove he was murdered because the jail guards on Epstein said they were asleep and all the video cameras were broken. And I can tell you that they weren't asleep because every hour there's something called a count, where the guards have to go look into each cell, physically see the prisoner, and then count them, and then call downstairs to the security office on the first floor and report the count to them. If they didn't do that, the office would have called upstairs. What's going on? Why didn't you call us with the count? And if they can't reach them, if the guards were asleep, like they say, and they didn't answer, they would have sent a SWAT team up there. So what it tells us is the guards are lying. And if the guards are lying, it's a conspiracy. And that tells you that somebody murdered him, but it doesn't tell you who.
I really don't know the details of it, but again, I saw a few clips that they saying that he's still alive. I mean, he's hanging out somewhere
Well, yeah,
in Israel.
he's probably in Minnesota with Elvis, but you can't believe that the American military would do what they did without being prepared for the Straits of Hormuz to be closed. I mean, I knew that. I don't know anything about military planning. Everybody knew that they'd close the Strait of Hormuz if you screw with them. They did it in 1979, and we had gas lines around the block. Is there a possibility left of regime change, or does Trump just have to say, we won, and then go home?
Well, that's basically what he wants. They want to finish this as soon as possible because, they're running out of the War Act. The Congress is going to...
War powers, yeah.
go
Well,
after
the War Powers Act of 1973 is what they're up against. And that gave him 60 days to do whatever he wanted. And then there's a meeting with Congress. And if Congress does not support the war, then he has 30 days to disengage, pull everybody out and stop doing it. And we don't know what Congress will do. He controls the Senate.
He controls both of them, but...
Yeah, but not by a lot.
He also concerned about his mega supporters, which majority of them are anti-wars and all this. And that's what one of his campaign promised, that America's not going to engage in any other war.
Right. Well, he's got all kinds of political problems anyhow. ICE is killing him. These masked guys going around jerking people out of their cars.
One of the main issues we have with the Trump is now he's fighting in 2 fronts. One front is Iran, and the other one is Wall Street. Have you noticed that every time he goes, we're going to attack or we're not going to attack, the price of gas goes up and down, and stock market plays with it.
It doesn't have a big effect at the pump.
It does actually with the Wall Street. He did this with the tariffs. We were going to have a tariff one day, and next day, no, we're not going to have a tariff.
Yeah,
and the stock market play with that.
They call it apparently they call it TACO. It stands for Trump always, chickens out. But the tariffs are a different thing. And my best example of that is Vietnam, Thailand, and Cambodia, the 3 of them. They have those precious metals China's kind of holding over our head because they have most of them. You need them to make phones. You need them to make computers. You need them to make missiles that are smart. You need those precious metals for everything. Cambodia, Thailand, and Vietnam have some of those. Not a lot, but they have some. And Trump said he wanted access to those minerals, and he put a 30% tariff on those 3 countries. And they said, hey, you can have access to the minerals. And he dropped it to 10%. And that's what he's been doing. I read his book. You can't go into a negotiation unless unless you've got leverage. And so he's using the tariffs to create leverage. That said, going into the negotiation here in Pakistan, what leverage did Trump have? He really didn't have any leverage, right? I mean, he wanted the straits open. They know that. He really didn't have, only leverage he had is he could start bombing again. But what's he going to bomb? He bombed all the targets.
They're still going to go after the Iranians' oil refineries and atomic stations that they have. And I hope they don't do that, because if they do, they're going to retaliate it, and the whole Middle East goes up in the flame.
Yeah, I agree.
So,
I hope he doesn't do that too. I think the only sensible solution came from you, which doesn't surprise me, Fred, and that is to arm the resistance.
as I said in my beginning when I spoke to you, there's a new report that now, after all this thing settled and done, now they are start arming the Iranian citizens. I don't know who exactly doing it and how they doing it, but there's a few report that
Good.
in the last 24 hours, some of the Iranian
Look,
Revolutionary Guard got assassinated. But
that's the deal. I wondered all along after you said that they needed to arm the Iranian people. I got to thinking about it, and I thought Israel must have a plan for that. I can understand that Trump didn't think of it. His military's being run by a Fox News weekend talk show host, and he fired half the military leaders because he didn't like them, or they didn't like him. I guess if you don't like him, you get fired. And I wonder, but Israel's not like that. The Mossad's not like that. They don't make mistakes. They wouldn't go. Is it safe to say, in your opinion, that the Mossad because the Mossad represents Israel in this, does Israel want regime change? Is that their main goal, do you think?
yes, but this is one of the main goals, but not only the regime change, but they also want to weaken Iran and divide it if they could. As I said, their intention is not really, as Bibi says, oh, we're going to rescue Iran. They did support us 2,000 years ago and gave us our freedom. Now we're going to pay back, and we're going to get rid of this regime and give the Iranian people their freedom. But their true intention is a little different. They are
Yeah, well, right.
still watching their own benefits and their own interests, and they want a weak Iran.
Does it seem to you that Israel would have gone into this whole thing? They fired the first shot, the missile that hit Khamenei and his 49 friends. That was Israel's shot, and that was the first shot of the war. Would they have gone in?
Twice, American negotiated with Iranians, and by verge of signing the peace agreement or whatever it is that they agree with, and both times Israelis attack Iran without giving America a heads up.
Right, a chance to
So,
get that signed. But I
yeah.
wouldn't have believed Iran on that anyhow. I mean, they'd go ahead and make their missiles and make their nuclear weapons secretly. I wouldn't trust them, would you?
No, I'm not trusting that either. But at the same time, Bibi was talking about Iran having atomic power for last 15 years.
Yeah,
He
right,
brings the map to United Nations, shows that
right,
Iran basically is 2 months away from it. That was 15 years ago.
right.
So that is, to me, that's just unbelievable.
Well,
You know,
even if Iran gets, let's assume that Iran gets a nuclear weapon, their history has been in this whole conflict. In 1979, while you had fled Iran and you were headed to England, the Ayatollah Khomeini was running the joint. And he went on television and he declared war on America. And I'm sitting there and I'm watching that. I said, what is this guy, nuts? He's going to sail his little PT boats up the Hudson River and invade New York? I mean, that's ridiculous. But their idea was to have proxies, so it never comes back to them. Hezbollah attacks the U.S. Marines and kills 241 of them in 1983. Hamas butchers 1,200 Israeli kids at a music festival. The Houthis do whatever they do. The smaller players that Iran pays do what they do. But it never comes back to Iran. So if they have a nuclear weapon, they have to use it in a way. They can't use it with a missile because a missile can be traced back to them. It's got to be some kind of a car bomb in Tel Aviv. Something that they could say, oh, well, we didn't do it. It must be, everybody hates America. It must be somebody else.
You see, Alan, they think Iran is a terrorist country and they support all the terrorism of the world.
I think they do too. And Iran has said,
Which I'm not denying it, but at the same time, look at other ones. Look at the Al Qaeda, look at the
right.
ISIS, and
And we
all
don't,
this other. other group.
even
Guess
even
guess
nine
guess
11.
who guess who started and financed them?
9/11 was Bin Laden and a bunch of Saudis. I think most of the hijackers were Saudis. But that
Well,
doesn't mean
there was a statement from this CIA agent is saying that 98% of all the terrorism that would happen in the last 25 years, 98% of it start with the Sunni Muslims and a terrorist organization.
right.
And beside behind every single one of them was U.S. or Israelis that started.
Ayatollahs that are running Iran, are they Sunnis or Shiites?
The Shiites,
And Saudis, are they Sunnis or Shiites?
they are Sunnis.
Okay, so that's their natural enemies, right?
Well, there was no animosity between them until recent years, like, but guess who was fighting with Al Qaeda and ISIS for the longest time was Iranian backed groups,
Right.
because of all this.
I'd be willing to bet you that if we ever found out a history of 9/11 or some of the other big attacks, that it would trace back in some way to Iran, Iranian money, Iranian intelligence service. There's always been an allegation that Iran, if Iran sends a diplomatic pouch.
No, I'm sorry, I disagree with you 100% on that.
You don't think it goes back to the Ayatollahs?
No.
Really?
No, after the attack Iraq and all the car bombs and all this, yes, that was Iranians. But 9/11 and other terrorist act, nothing to do with Iran.
Well, it couldn't be traced back to them. Iran's not going to do anything that could be traced back to them. I don't know that you could trace anything back to them. They admit that they finance Hezbollah. I don't know that we've ever traced it back, but they admit it.
No, they killed the 200 Marine in Beirut. That was Iranian doing, but that's the only other thing that I could think of. The rest of them was all
okay. All right.
all
What about the attack on the October 7th attack on the Israeli kids at the music festival? They killed 1,200 of them, raped them, cut their heads off babies, 150 people hostages. That was Hamas.
Yes.
It's hard for me to believe that they did that without Iran back financially.
I'm not sure about that, but be honest with you, it makes you think about it. As smart as the Mossad is and as strong as their intel is, I have a hard time believing it that happened underneath their nose.
It's hard for me to believe too that sneak attack where they just crossed over and nobody knew they were coming. That's a big failure of Israeli intelligence, and some people got fired in Israel over it.
Also, the response time, they did not respond to it for almost 3 or 4 hours after the fact, which is again,
right.
As a small country like that, I have a hard time believing it. Everything's up and up on that. So
yeah, they're much.
I don't want to make a statement because I don't know 100% about it.
Right.
But the whole thing is kind of makes you think twice about it.
And that is the intention. If the Ayatollahs are involved the way I think they are, that's their intention, that nothing comes back to them. Oh no, that was Hamas, terrible thing. I think they issued a statement, oh no, that's bad. And it doesn't come back to them. Well, and that's where we are. We're never going to be able to prove, the Israeli intelligence, the Mossad, they're great. Iranian intelligence is pretty good too. I don't know what they're called. But
no, it's not. If it was, they wouldn't have that. The highest ranking general turned out to be a Mossad agent.
Well, that's how good the Mossad is. They're unbelievable.
They did 7 assassinations, and he was in every single one of them. Last one was when they killed the Khamenei. He's supposed to be in that meeting, and he just stopped going there 5 minutes before that, and that was the final thing that gave him away.
Well,
now he's back in Israel when. He admit that he was in a Mossad agent for the last 30 years.
There are reports that Iranian citizens, I guess with the use of cell phones, are giving coordinates to the Israelis to where these blockades are, the ones that are attacking the resist, and Israel is hitting them with a missile.
That's true.
You think that's true?
Yeah.
Good. Well,
Israelis have a lot of Mossad agent in Iran.
Yeah, I believe that.
Majority of them are Afghanis that they went to Iran and they don't have a steady job and all this. So Mossad recruit them in very big numbers.
That's an important thing that everybody's missing about this. Hamas, Hezbollah, these terrorist groups, wherever they are in the the world, the people they're fighters, they're soldiers. Those guys are getting a paycheck. They don't do it for free. There's a lot of money involved there.
Yeah.
No?
Yeah.
And that money comes from Tehran. All right, buddy, listen. I don't see regime change in the immediate future. Do you?
I will say within the next few months, very good possibility.
That's the most encouraging news I've heard about this whole thing. I have such fond memories, and I'm 85 years old, so I go back to I remember the Second World War, and so I really remember revolution in 1979, the embassy hostages, and all of that. And I remember Iran before that under the Shah. I understand he was a dictator and he was pulling people's fingernails out, and that's what they do over there. Well, I guess that's what they do everywhere. But Iran was a great friend to America. We gave them an air force. They were our police force, really, in the Mideast. And Iran was rocking. I mean, they had lots of money. I mean, you were there. You tell me, what was Iran like before the revolution?
Well, it was a very nice country to live in. People had a great life. We just didn't realize.
Right.
Shah of Iran himself was a decent guy. It was people around him that had some.
This is as simple as Jimmy Carter. Jimmy Carter.
His election against the Ford Shah of Iran was supporting Ford, and that's one issue that Carter had with him. And then back then there was two group anti-Shah in Iran. One was the same group. Fanatic Muslims, and other one was communists. And
right. Yeah, that's something else that people don't understand that you told me before we go. Maybe you could explain that a little better. People think that there's the regime and then there's the resistance, but that's not true. There are Sunnis, there are Shiites, there are Christians, there are atheists, there are Buddhists, whatever. There's a lot of different factions inside Iran, correct?
Right, but you mix in the ethnic background with the religion and all this too. It's just there was a lot of different political faction in Iran, and some of them were anti-Shah. As far as the personal freedom and all this, if you weren't involved with the politics, you could have a really great life.
Right.
So, and the politic part of it is Shah did everything in his power and bring Iran to a very modern,
very modern
country in the world,
a very Western country. You guys had discos, you had bands, you had music, all the things.
But Shah made two fundamental mistakes. One was he tried to basically push aside Western country from getting a very cheap discount oil from Iran, and he started opaque, and they were getting a real value for the oil, which Americans didn't like it. And then again, he was supporting Ford and all this, so the started the human right, and basically he lost control. British took over, and British had those for 60 years. So many moving parts in a background that nobody knows what's going to happen.
Well, keep your eyes on it. I know it's very important to you. You have family over there and friends, and I'm sure you'd like to go back to a free Iran. So keep your eyes on it, and we'll talk again soon. My guest has been Fred Azadi. I learned something, and I am encouraged that he thinks maybe a regime change is possible. Fred, thank you for being with us.
I appreciate it. Have a great day. Thank you.
Okay, you too.
Jive Daddy.
All right, time now for a little segment I call the dad joke of the day. I'm old enough to not only tell a dad joke, I probably tell a great-great-granddaddy joke. So we're going to do a little dad joke of the day. I'm qualified to do it as far as I'm concerned. Here we go. Here's your dad joke of the day. Why do basketball players never go on vacation? Because they're not allowed to travel. I like that one. All right, time now for some music. This is Bruce Blackman and Starbuck. What a great record this is. I played it at Georgia Tech when I DJ'd a dance down there, and every human in the room started to dance. Great record. This is Beach A Go-Go. Bruce Blackman and Starbuck.
She moving easy across the sugar sand. I can feel the flame. She over 10, she got a perfect 10. Gotta know her name. She be silky smooth, pop the shattering. I play it cool, I'm slipping in the groove of the evening sun. She be go, go, beat you go, summertime. Go, beat you go, summertime. River Keenan, Valley there. She lotions up, I say a prayer. I catch my breath, I need some air. Ooh, Lord, I need a rubber rebound. Shooting stars in a whispering moon, lucky beaming night. Shaking rhythm to some island beats, a burning Fahrenheit. She say yes, she say me. Slow motion, ocean, move my beat. She in my arms, silent speech. She be go, beat you go, summertime. Go, beat you go, summertime. Beat you go. Beat you go. Alan White Show.
All right, time now for a little section called Regular Folks. And my first Regular Folks guest is Kevin Notepad Stanley. And he's a good friend of mine. He's the smartest person I know. He was on Jeopardy, and he came in second to Ken Jennings. How smart do you have to be to do that? Hey, Kevin, good morning.
Good morning. Thanks for that introduction.
I don't think I've ever asked you anything that you didn't know the answer to. All right, so this is a mess right now. Just for a moment about the book. What do you think about a third party?
I think it's long overdue.
Okay. And you'd support it?
Yes.
Okay. All right, so let's talk about what's going on out here today. What a mess we have got going on. Trump invaded Iran, which I supported. You know me, I've been talking about that ever since I've known you. And Israel hit them brilliantly. Took out their leader, and we joined in, and we're bombing the hell out of them and all that. However, the Straits of Hormuz, they closed them in 1979, and that's how we got gas lines around the block. It wasn't a question of how much gas was. We couldn't get any gas back then, 79.
Right.
And the Straits of Hormuz was closed. So it was in all the papers. You would have thought they would have known that, but apparently they weren't prepared for that.
Well, it's always fun to wake up each morning and wonder what new part of the world is on fire and why.
Yeah.
And that
Go ahead.
you can still have a good idea and execute it poorly. We could have done what we did in '91. We could have built an international coalition. We could have reached out to NATO and our European allies before we did anything and seen how much they were willing to participate. You can still have an exit strategy before starting something like this.
Well, no, there wasn't. He keeps changing it anyhow. First it was about nuclear weapons, then it was about regime change, then it was about the Strait of Hormuz. I mean, where we are now, we're worse off than when we started, because when we started, the Strait of Hormuz was open and it was not controlled by Iran. And that now it is closed and it is controlled by Iran. We're way worse off than when we started. We're not going to get regime change, it looks like. I still have some hope. The internal resistance will overthrow this government, but we have to arm them. They don't have any guns.
And do you think we're going to find a way to do that without letting the entire region nation know what we're doing.
That's a good question.
There's a good way to do it, and then there's the way we tend to do things. And it's probably going to be a 3 a.m. Truth Social tweet that the weapons are on their way.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sure they're signed up to Truth Social. Again, how did we not have a plan to arm the resistance? We knew they didn't have any guns. Maybe Israel has a way to supply small arms. We're only talking about machine guns and maybe some grenade launchers, that kind of thing, to fight the morality police, whoever they have to overthrow. Maybe Israel has a plan to do that. Apparently, we do not. We do not have a plan to arm the resistance inside Iran. It's FUBAR squared at the moment.
Yeah, it's arrogance. We didn't think we'd need one.
Yeah.
It's probably going to boil down to something that simple. We didn't think we'd need one. We thought this would have been over 3 weeks ago, that they would have just turned tail and ran, completely capitulated. We'll be greeted as liberators. Remember that?
Yeah. And we will be greeted by libs. I know someone inside, and he's saying you got to arm the resistance. And they didn't have a plan to do that. And they didn't have a plan to deal with the closing of the Straits of Hormuz. It's unbelievable to me. You have to think that Israel has some kind of further plans here. To me, this is nothing. I mean, this meeting in Pakistan, which is going on as we speak, they say you have to lift all sanctions and give them hundreds of billions of dollars in money that we're holding or whatever before they'll even talk to us.
Right.
So, I mean, clearly nothing is going to come out of that. So then we start bombing them again.
Right. Well, at least, we've been able to keep the Russians and the Chinese from making all the money out of this. Oh, wait.
Yeah. Oh, wait. Well, the Chinese are involved in Pakistan. Did you know that?
Yeah. They're involved all over the world.
No, I mean, they're
Africa,
involved.
South America. They've been doing infrastructure building in a lot of regions to win favor.
And normally, when it comes to China, we'd be talking about these drones that have been flying over American air bases. That has to be China. Nobody else has that technology. They just flew over a base in Louisiana, which is the home of our nuclear command. Again, 27 drones, the size of SUVs, and we do not know where they came from. We cannot shoot them down, and we can't do anything with them because they fly under our radar. The 60 Minutes covered this story, and they had the general that was in charge of it on. This was maybe 6 months ago, maybe not quite that long, and he explained that we can't see them because they're flying under our radar, and they're working on fixing that problem. And whoever the interviewer was, how long is it going to take? He said about a year. AJ, he said, well, there's only 27 of them. Yeah, but what if there were 270 or 2,700?
Or even 27 of them that were carrying chemical or biological payload.
Right, or 27,000.
Over a major metropolitan area.
Right, or 270,000.
Yeah. And the thing is, I don't know, what about, we're overthinking this. What about actually getting people out on visual patrol? I mean, we have AWAC planes, right? We still have those. One of them got blown up in Saudi Arabia during this whole Iranian. If it takes flying over areas, doing patrols to make sure that nothing is invading the airspace, why aren't we doing that? It's low tech, but sometimes low tech beats high tech.
I think, well, I started to say I think you can count on the military working on that, but they fired all the generals that have any idea of what they're doing, and the military is being run by a weekend Fox News talk show host. And so maybe they're not on top of it. I can't imagine anybody else having the technology to do these drones the way they're doing them other than China. And it seems to me that they're just prodding. They're penetrating to see what they can get away with. And it's all Air Force bases that they're attacking or that they're observing.
Surveilling.
Yeah, surveilling, observing. I don't know. It seems to me that it's China getting ready to attack us if they have to.
Yeah.
And we're not prepared for that. Or maybe we're getting prepared. But yeah, I don't have any faith in the military anymore because they fired all the generals that know what the hell they're doing. The idea that they went into an attack on Iran, which I've been arguing for 47 years, without considering the closing of the Straits of Hormuz and without any plan to arm the resistance, we know that this government could be overthrown from inside. I'm just hoping the Israelis have a plan.
Somebody besides the Iranians should have a plan.
It's going to be interesting to see what happens later today because this negotiation isn't going anywhere. They're demanding an end to the bombing in Lebanon, which we have no control over, and they want whatever assets we're holding of theirs returned and all the sanctions lifted. All this before they're even going to negotiate, they say. So we're in a way worse position than we were before Trump did this.
Yeah, because we're doing it without help, because we chose.
Well, it surprised me. I mean, I thought that you would think that England and France and Germany, who have had many Islamic attacks from their proxies, would have jumped on this. And Saudi Arabia is no friend to Iran. You would have thought they would. And they're being attacked and they're not joining.
Right.
They have an air force of 300 F-15s and a 250,000-man army. Saudi does. I don't think we need anybody's boots on the ground other than the Iranian internal resistance.
Right.
But what are they going to do? Throw rocks at them? Well, they did. And they massacred, I've seen figures as high as 30,000.
Over 10,000. Yeah.
Yeah, right. I've seen figures as high as 30,000.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. What a mess. I'm not
And it's only April.
Yeah, right. Well, we're going to wind up worse off than we were as far as Iran is concerned. Iran won this war.
But I mean, hey, the Dow is over 50,000, right? So got that going. Of course, regular unleaded is over $4, so we got that going.
Yeah, right. Well, the gas prices will come down once the war is over. The war will end. Trump will declare victory. The real winner will be Iran, and we'll go down the road, and we still have Islamic lunatics running Iran and financing Hezbollah and Hamas and Houthis and every other nickel and dime terrorist group in the world. It's unbelievable, it really is. I'm not sure I think Kamala Harris would have been any better. Do you think there'll be midterm elections?
I sure hope so.
Yeah, well,
honestly, I think he's got his energy so split in so many different directions that even if he wanted to try and orchestrate something like that, he wouldn't be able to live.
Do you think that his ultimate goal was to become a military dictator?
I think that he thought that was always something in his back pocket.
Well, it's pretty easy for him to do. All he has to do is postpone the midterm elections, and there would be millions of people demonstrating on the streets. Then he could declare or invoke the Insurrection Act, and then from the Insurrection Act, he can legally declare martial law, which it seems to me that's his plan. I'd be surprised if there were midterm elections. The polling is showing he's going to get killed.
Yeah.
But we'll see.
The thing is, and we've talked in the past about this, particularly for his first time around, that we thought because of his ego, he actually wants to go down in history as great at something. And I don't think that what he wants to go down in history for is being only the second president to oversee the United States breaking into pieces.
I agree, but the thing is that he's not living in the real world.
Yeah.
Again, look up on narcissistic personality disorder and megalomania, both of which he clearly has. I mean, every single symptom applies to him. I honestly don't think he really understands. I believe that he actually believes the 2020 election was rigged, and that's how distorted his opinion of things are.
By that rationale, if you really believe that you couldn't trust the numbers in 2020, why can we trust the numbers from 2024?
And that's what he's going to say. And
the election that he won, by the way, more decisively than he won in 2016.
What he would say, and I could write this speech for him, is everybody is telling me that this election, that the midterms are rigged. Now, I don't know if they are or they're not, but that's what everybody's telling me. So I'm going to issue an executive order postponing the election until we can get an investigation to make sure they're on the up and up. Mm-hmm. That puts the protesters on the streets. The protesters allow him to say, well, this is now just an insurrection, invoke the Insurrection Act, go to military law, put the military on the streets, which he's already done in, various cities.
There's just one problem with that.
What's that?
You're going to have quite a few states that are going to do what Minnesota said. We are not accepting your help. We did not call for you.
Well, no, military law.
You all talk about states' rights. Allow this state to handle its own internal security issue. We will activate our National Guard. Well, I'm sorry, we will activate our state guard, and we will handle this. So you're going to have governors fighting with the federal government over the right to police in their own state.
We've got 1.5 million man army. You just put them on the streets, and they basically, if you declare martial law under any circumstances, the military replaces the police. That's what martial law is. It just seems to me. Well, I'll tell you why it seems to me. Because if I was trying to be a military dictator and I was in his position, that's what I'd do. We'll see. Certainly the polling is terrible, and he's got to know he's going to get killed. He's going to lose the House. He may lose the Senate, and he's got to be worried. They're going to impeach him. If the midterms go, the House will flip. They will impeach him.
But here's the thing. Impeachment without a vote to remove is basically just a censure on steroids. It doesn't really mean anything.
Right. We've done it twice.
Because Bill Clinton got impeached, and he still was able to serve out his second term.
Well, 3 times if you count Clinton. They impeached Trump twice and couldn't remove him either time. But I wonder wonder if there are, I think it would take, with the current Senate, 22 Republican senators to vote to remove him. And he's been pushing them around pretty good. I wonder if there are enough Republican senators that would vote to remove him. And I suspect that he wonders that.
There would have been a lot fewer before we went into Iran.
Well, that may be true.
The way that we're carrying out this war campaign right now, there are a lot of people who have forgotten their backbones that are starting to, this has got to stop. This is ridiculous.
It doesn't look like we can do anything to fix this thing in Iran unless, and this is a big unless, but unless the Israelis have something up their sleeve. If they have a way to arm the resistance internally, we'll get regime change. And you know Iran wants regime change. This might have been about nuclear weapons and whatever was bothering Trump. But for Israel, they want regime change. They want those crazy Ayatollahs out of there. So I'm hoping, that there's some kind of a plan to overthrow that government. But it looks like we're just going to wind up losing this war. Absolutely amazing that you could lose this war. You got to work hard to lose this war. I mean, we bombed. Basically, if Trump says he's going back to bombing, what's he going to bomb? I mean, didn't they pretty much bomb everything already?
Yeah.
This is as tense a time as the Cuban Missile Crisis, and that's another one. He's got Cuba at this point. He blocked their oil, and the lights are off, I guess, in Cuba.
Right.
So I don't know what this guy's planning on doing there.
Well, Mexico has actually started. They've broken with Trump to start sending oil there because they consider it a humanitarian crisis.
I think they're trying to pressure the Cuban communist government from resigning, but it's communist really in name only. If we would just open it up, I mean, that's been a problem. Obama tried to open it up, and then Trump shut it down again.
Right.
And they do whatever those expatriates say. Rubio knows that. I don't know. I've never seen anything quite like this. This is extraordinary. Hey, it's good to talk to you, my friend. Thank you for coming on.
Always good to talk to you.
And I think you are representative of regular folks. And we'll see. I'm going to get some people on that are pretty hard to the right, pretty hard to the left, and we'll see. But we need a third party, and I'm going to keep fighting to see if we can get it. All right. Thank you, buddy.
Thank you. Love the book, by the way.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Have you seen the website?
Yes.
What do you think of that?
Bert did an amazing job.
Didn't he? He came to my retirement party, and I just was chatting with him, and he volunteered to do it. The website, I wrote a book that was as simple and clear and short and to the point as possible. And he did a website that was the same thing, only better. And you can look at the website and get a pretty good idea of what I'm talking about without reading the book.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, we'll see. All right, thanks. I appreciate you.
Thanks for having me.
All right, moving on. You know what? Let's play a song. Okay, this is a great Len Barry, Bobby Eli tune, and the vocalist is the legendary Rick Dovey, longtime DJ at Johnny's Hideaway and session singer, Rick Dovey. This is Let's Get Next to Love.
Candlelights, a mighty night, the music's been divine. The fireside is out of sight, and oh, I love the wine. Well, it's really been a lovely evening, and the best is yet to come. Forget the rest, and let's get next to love. The conversation is right on time. It's what I want to hear. I must admit I'm getting high from all this atmosphere. It's time for taking care of business, 'cause my body's getting numb. My heart said yes, so let's get next to love. Let's get a little bit closer, like body and soul. Let's let nature take over till we're out of control, and never let go. I want you here and now, my dear. It's silly to pretend before the darkness disappears. I again. While the sky is running out of moonlight, as the sun is coming up, with no regrets. Hey, let's get next to love. Forget the rest, get next to love. The sky is running out of moonlight as the sun is coming up with no regrets. Hey, let's get next to love. Forget the rest, get next to love. Let's get a little bit closer, like take over till we're out of control and never let go. I want you here and now, my dear. It's silly to pretend before the darkness disappears. I want your love again while the sky is running out of moonlight as the sun is coming up. Hey, let's get next to love.
Okay, before we go, let me do a little commercial here and see if I can get some money. Anything that you do, whether it's a television show or a radio show or a book or a movie or whatever, a product, you have to be able to promote it. So I need some money to promote the book and promote the podcast and promote everything that's going on. And I can't take campaign contributions for a third party because it doesn't exist yet. It's not a legal party. But I can take contributions to help me promote my book and promote the idea. That's a perfectly legal thing for me to do. So I've set up a GoFundMe page. It's simple to find. Go to GoFundMe and type in The Third Party, TheThirdParty, all one word. And man, drop a dime on me. I need to, number one, I need to find some kind of an intern to help me out with booking guests and following all that up. I can't do everything here. So I need to find an intern and eventually be able to pay an intern. And I've got to have some money to be able to promote this book and promote this idea. So here's the deal. If you think this is a good idea and you think that I should promote it and pursue it, then drop a dime, baby, in my GoFundMe. Once again, it's The Third Party. It's all one word, TheThirdParty. And we would appreciate it. Now, that's it for this time. Thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it. And until next time, we are done.
Well, it's time to run again, go again. Gotta hit the road again, I'll tell you. We had fun. So now we part, you know it. It's time for us to stow it. And so see ya.